Joe Rogan calls out Bari Weiss for attacking Tulsi Gabbard on his podcast. Joe Rogan, the popular podcast host known for his unfiltered conversations, recently confronted journalist Bari Weiss during a discussion about Tulsi Gabbard. The exchange, which took place on the Joe Rogan Experience, caught the attention of many as Rogan pushed back against what he saw as an unfair attack on the former Congresswoman and Democratic presidential candidate. The controversial exchange. Bari Weiss, a journalist and former New York Times editor, has built a reputation as a strong critic of extremism and authoritarianism. During her appearance on Rogan's podcast, she criticized Tulsi Gabbard, labeling her as a fringe figure and suggesting that her political positions were problematic. Weiss's remarks seemed to imply that Gabbard's views aligned too closely with authoritarian regimes, particularly in relation to her stance on foreign policy. Gabbard has frequently voiced opposition to U.S. interventionism, drawing scrutiny for her meetings with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and her critiques of the democratic establishment. However, Rogan, who has hosted Gabbard multiple times on his podcast and expressed respect for her, was quick to challenge Weiss. He asked her to clarify her claims, pressing for specific reasons why she viewed Gabbard as an untrustworthy or dangerous political figure. Rogan's pushback: facts over smears. What made this moment particularly compelling was Rogan's insistence on an evidence-based discussion. Rather than allowing a broad-stroke critique of Gabbard to pass without scrutiny, he asked Weiss to justify her statements. Rogan pointed out that Gabbard's positions on war and peace were consistent with a broader skepticism of U.S. military interventionism, something that many Americans, including veterans, share. He also highlighted how mainstream media often smears independent-minded politicians who challenge establishment narratives. When Weiss struggled to provide concrete examples, Rogan doubled down, questioning whether her criticism was based on media portrayals rather than first-hand analysis of Gabbard's policies. His firm stance revealed how political narratives can often be shaped by echo chambers rather than factual debate. The media versus independent voices. This exchange reflects a broader tension between mainstream journalists and independent thinkers like Rogan. Many mainstream media outlets have portrayed Gabbard as a divisive figure, often linking her to conspiracy theories or foreign influence, without solid evidence. However, figures like Rogan provide a counterpoint to this approach, offering a platform where unconventional voices can speak freely. His challenge to Weiss demonstrated why independent media continues to gain traction. People are tired of narratives that seem designed to discredit rather than inform. Tulsi Gabbard, a controversial yet principled figure. Gabbard's political career has been marked by her willingness to go against the grain. A former Democratic Congresswoman from Hawaii, she made headlines during the 2020 presidential primary when she challenged establishment candidates and even clashed with Hillary Clinton, who insinuated that Gabbard was a Russian asset. Her foreign policy stance, which calls for diplomacy over regime change wars, has earned both praise and criticism. While some see her as a principled non-interventionist, others paint her as an apologist for dictators. The problem, as Rogan pointed out, is that much of this criticism lacks substance and is often driven by political bias. The bigger picture: why this conversation matters. The Rogan-Weiss exchange highlights a fundamental issue in modern political discourse: the struggle between independent thought and media-driven narratives. In an era where accusations can spread rapidly and reputations can be damaged overnight, it's crucial to question whether critiques are based on genuine analysis or ideological biases. Rogan's defense of Gabbard wasn't necessarily about endorsing her views. It was about ensuring that political figures are judged fairly rather than smeared for stepping outside the mainstream. His willingness to challenge Weiss on this issue reaffirmed why his podcast remains one of the most influential platforms for open debate. Final thoughts. Joe Rogan's conversation with Bari Weiss serves as a reminder that political discourse should be grounded in facts, not assumptions. His pushback against the casual dismissal of Tulsi Gabbard demonstrated why independent voices are essential in today's media landscape. Whether one agrees with Gabbard or not, the discussion underscored a vital point. Criticism should be based on evidence, not narratives designed to discredit. Rogan's refusal to accept vague smears as truth is precisely why millions tune in to his podcast, seeking conversations that prioritize honesty over agenda-driven rhetoric.